broke my one sex rule with a handicapped guy. I'm a 28F. My childhood best friend, whom we'll call Jess, is also 28F. To put it simply, I don't think I'm any prude. I don't really feel comfortable with casual sex and never have. My best friend knows this and has teased me about it lightly. She's been in a long-term relationship for the last 3 years. I've mostly been single while working on my degree and starting my career. Jess lives in another state with her boyfriend, so we don't hang out much anymore. So, about a month ago, I had a first date with a guy I'd been talking to for a bit. I thought it was going places, but he gave a weird vibe on the date, and I cut and ran early. On my way home, I stopped at a local pub, figured I'd have a drink to unwind, and people watched till it wore off. Tipsy driving is still drunk driving, in my opinion. I got there, and it was pretty packed, Friday night and all, and there was no seating room at the bar. I took my drink and looked around. Most of the restaurant side of the pub was someone's birthday party, but there was a small table with a seat open, with a guy reading a book. So I say, F it, I'm a social person, and what's the worst thing that happens? He says no. So I asked if I could sit there for a bit. I promise we don't have to talk or do anything. At this point, I feel like I've effed up because this guy up close is the hottest man I have ever seen. But he just smiled at me and said enthusiastically, sure. A few minutes later, I sipped silently, and he said, I don't mind talking if you want to. Yeah, I want to. Are you kidding me right now? We talked for a bit, and it turns out Mike, fake name, is 29 and just finished his master's degree in some computer learning field. I program computers to program computers. He's living on his own for the first time. He apparently stops by the pub after work because he's right around the corner, and he's not used to the silence yet after living so long with a half-dozen siblings. We talked for a good 2 hours about everything from dating, which he said he's basically given up on, to hobbies and tastes, and we have a near total eclipse of a Venn diagram on this stuff. I eventually blurted out that I didn't know why he'd give up on dating. This was the closest thing I've had to a suitable date forever. Shooting my shot obliquely here. Lol. He gets an odd look and says, tell you what, I have to go to the bathroom, but when I come back, I'll ask you out for real. Weird, but okay. Then it all clicked because he didn't get up to walk away, he just rolled in his wheelchair. And I was thinking, oh my God, he wanted to give me a chance to back out of this without making it awkward. How cute can this guy be? He grinned like crazy when he got back and saw I was still there, and I tripped over myself, saying something to the effect of, so I'm free all weekend. What did you have in mind? Another hour later, we've got plans for Saturday, and he told me he has a neuromuscular disorder. I can't remember the name of my degree isn't in STEM, lol. His legs work, but the signals from his brain get misinterpreted, so he needs balance and coordination for walking or standing. The pub starts switching to the younger, rowdier crowd, and he asks if I'd like to return to his place for coffee to continue our conversation. As you have probably long since realized, I got coffee or conversation the following day, and I have zero regrets. We've been dating since, and I know it's still early, but this might be the one. Onward to yesterday afternoon, my friend Jess, remember Jess, is in town, and we go out for coffee to catch up on things. I'm gushing about Mike, but when I get to how we met, she just got weird and edgy. I don't remember any exact words, but she essentially said that I must have a fetish for the disabled since I broke my one rule. It's the best physical relationship I've ever been in. It's good for me because he uses a wheelchair, not because the guy puts in effort in bed. She said I've changed and left without even saying goodbye. 15 years of friendship, and I've never seen her like that. So here I am, asking the most objective people online, haha, if I'm an asshole or weird for being super attracted to a guy who uses a wheelchair and basically putting out immediately. Update. If you were hoping for some terrible drama, I hate to tell you that I don't roll like that. No pun intended. So, I have an update on Jess, which finally makes perfect sense. And I have a slightly NSFW, but funny story about Mike because this guy is just the best. Okay, I finally messaged Jess yesterday and said, I'm still hurt by what you said, but after 15 years of friendship, I'd never forgive Musif. I didn't at least ask why you snapped at me like that. She replied immediately, I'm so effing sorry, I didn't mean any of that. Can we have a do-over on lunch? So I agreed cautiously and took a half day to meet with her today. Turns out that those of you who said she was jealous and that she might have something else going on, especially the person who said something might be going on in her relationship, gold stars. She's in town because she's job hunting and has been moving back in with her parents since her relationship ended. They have been having many minor problems, but the biggest one? Sex. The guy she's been with was apparently never great, but it's gotten to the point where he makes no effort at all for her to enjoy herself, and then gets pissed when she isn't in the mood. She tried talking with him about it, making suggestions. Still, he told her recently that it's emasculating being given sex advice by a woman. The straw that broke the metaphorical camel's back, however, was that her boyfriend has always had a thing for Asian women. She's Caucasian, but she does have long black hair. After weeks of fighting over their sex life, he suggested that they spice things up by dressing in a kimono and pretending to be Asian. She loses it on him and is absolutely disgusted by the racist fetishism and ends it right then. So she had all of this bottled up and was hoping to talk to me and finally be able to put it down. And I missed every hint that she had something significant to discuss because I was gushing about Mike. So, to her, it felt like I was twisting the knife by bragging about how great our sex was. She snapped, and somewhere between what I was saying and what she wanted to talk about, some wires got crossed, and she said something incredibly dumb. She left without saying goodbye because she was mortified and ashamed, as well as irrationally mad at me. Something to know about Jess is that she's an awful liar, and she and I were the co-founders of our high school's Foot and Mouth Society, so I do believe her. I told her I forgave her and was sorry I didn't realize she wanted to talk about something bothering her. She said I was too stupidly lovely and had nothing to apologize for, so I think we'll be okay. I'm not ready for her and Mike to meet because I don't want to make things feel worse, and she agrees. But she's really happy for me. Hopefully this is just a funny story we can revisit someday. So on to how Mike almost killed me, lol. Last night, we were talking about the Reddit post, and he gets this funny expression that I'm starting to recognize. And he goes, "How do we know you don't have a fetish if we haven't at least tried it in the chair?" And I'm like, "Are you serious? Lol." He said he's never attempted it because cue tears, he's never felt so comfortable with a partner before. Well, his chair has a parking brake thing, or it should, it's unfortunately broken. And apparently, getting them fixed is an expensive pain in the ass. He uses it sparingly, so he hasn't made it a priority. And there's this thing called Newton's third law. Do you know how every action has an equal and opposite reaction? As it happens, when you're trying to, get the motion of the ocean going in a chair with wheels that aren't locked, there's a sort of counter motion that starts and F's it all up. So we were going nowhere fast except for inching along the floor in his bedroom and laughing at the silliness, which isn't helping. Eventually, he stops and says, "Maybe we can get some of those wooden block things they used to keep little planes from rolling away, like in Indiana Jones, you know?" I absolutely lost it. Like laughing so hard I'm in tears. He's giggling half at the situation and half at my reaction, and everything keeps setting me off again. Finally, I got it under control, did some deep breathing exercises, and looked at him again. And he pulls the straightest face he can and says, "For the love of God, golly. This sure is uncomfortable." Folks, if I had asthma, I would have effing died right there. I laughed so hard that I think I pulled rib like wheezing and did not even laugh anymore, as much as weeping and making this awful he noise when I could catch my breath. While he was laughing and rubbing my back and saying he was sorry, he couldn't resist. So yeah, confirmed no fetish here, and this magnificent bastard's comedic timing might actually kill me. I doubt I'll update again because there's nothing I can see that needs to be shared, given everything worked out. And in the end, the real assholes were the friends we made along the way? IDK. Thanks for all the lovely comments on my last post and for coming along with me on this absurd but brief drama in my life, lol. Met Mike's family update, and it's a doozy, or at least felt like it at the time, for a girl who grew up with a small, dysfunctional family. So first up, you know what people, at least me, don't think about when dating a guy who's always sitting? height. I know he's taller than me because we cuddle a lot, and he's taller sitting on the couch, but I didn't really get it. So we drive up Friday night after work, actually south and west, lol, but to my brain it's always up in his vehicle, which is modified to be driven entirely using his hands. Neat, right? He's an excellent driver too. One more green flag. We get to the house and it's huge, you guys, LOL. It's not a mansion, just kind of a sprawling one-floor rancher. Real estate was wild back in the day. Anyway, we got out and I met his mom. I am no slouch, I'm 5'8", friggin' 7. His mom is towering over me, but she was the nicest lady ever. We go inside and I meet his dad, who, funny enough, is apparently the only short one in this family, and his youngest sister, who is living there with his 1-year-old niece. She gets up to hug me, and she is also really tall. It's already a bit late then, so we eat and head to bed. I get to see his cute as crap room from when he was a teenager, and I casually ask, "Hey, so I don't know how this works and stuff, but how tall are you?" And Mike is all I don't know, like a bit over 6'4". Been a while since I checked. A bit over 6'4". So, is everyone in your family tall? We met the Nordic basketball team, and he called the family properly the next day. They're Irish but blonde and tall, so it conveys the idea better. The only one of reasonable height and still taller than me was his oldest sister, lol. They are also loud, not shouting or anything usually, just present. Mike is very different around them, but in the cutest way. He beams all the time, and you can see how happy he is to be home. One of his brothers put him in a headlock and gave him a dang noogie as a greeting and got elbowed in the side for it, and all of them laughed. And his mom smacked one of his brothers with a rolled-up magazine for putting his feet on the table. More laughing. Just intimidating, but in the happiest way imaginable. I'll admit I was a little shut down for a bit, but Mike kept checking in with me to make sure I was okay, and they were all adorable, so I got into the spirit after a bit. I mentioned this in another comment, but Mike has a unique sports wheelchair he uses for, well, sports. He and his siblings play basketball, and he is good. Apart from just having a hell of an arm, he's quick as hell. And this magnificent bastard that I love will absolutely, purposefully, gleefully run someone's toes over. He aims for it. They all have this yank back the foot maneuver that's hysterical to watch. So it was this crazy day of loud people playing and having a blast, nieces and nephews running around, and just noise. My ears are still ringing. The food was catered in advance because his mom had 7 babies. All I make on Mother's Day is margaritas. They also have a pool. It's a bit chilly still, but the pool is heated, so we all got to swim, which was a lot of fun because I got to show off that I too am athletic. I can do a backwards somersault off a diving board. I'm a real catch, lol. They at least pretended to be impressed. We all stayed up late, drinking and bitching that it was too overcast to see the aurora boo, and I had the worst hangover I've had in a while on Sunday. We slept in a bit late and then joined Mike's family for the barbecue part of the barbecue weekend. His dad can grill people, and he's fast, food coming off the grill at lightning speed. I asked Mike about it, and he laughed and said, there were 7 of us to feed. Ever seen a nest of baby birds? He had practice, which is fair enough. I don't have much experience with babies. Still, I got to hold his youngest niece, the one living at home with his sis, until her husband returns from deployment, and we had a light talk about kids in the future. I told him that I never put much thought into it, but if they were going to grow up in a happy home like his, and not how I grew up, I'm pretty sure I'd be open to having them with him someday. But later. I need him all to myself for a while first. He seemed really happy about that, making me feel goofy and happy. I'm sappy. We had to drive home Sunday night, but before we went, his mom hugged me, said she'd never seen her son like this, and thanked me for taking good care of her baby, and asked if we'd be back for the 4th of July or if we were doing something with my family. And I tried to be all, ha, no, we'll be here if you don't mind. I don't see them much. I think she caught on that there's more to the story, so she just hugged the crap out of me, Vikings. All of them. I swear, and told me she couldn't wait to see me again. My ears are still ringing from all the noise and chaos, but it was an absolute blast, and I can't wait to see them again in July. Also, Mike is the man I'm gonna marry. I can't think of a single reason why I would let him get away. Anyway, thanks for reading. I hope you all had a lovely weekend, and those of you who got to see the aurora, I'm happy for you, but you suck, lol. Update again, I'm dating a disabled guy. Since I've gotten many requests for updates, I wanted to let you guys know how things are going in my world. Do you know how sometimes a relationship looks amazing initially, but then all the red flags start showing up? This isn't one of those stories, lol. Sorry that was mean, but I couldn't resist. Okay, on to the actual update. No, we aren't engaged yet. Yes, we have talked about it in the context of how seriously we are taking things. No babies yet either, obviously. We are diligent about birth control. I want Mike all to myself for a while. So, the 4th of July visit to his family's house was awesome. After getting to know everyone last time, I had better expectations of what I was going into. I've talked with my therapist about the whole play fighting makes me anxious because, in my childhood home, it wasn't playing thing. I don't want them to curb how they act to cater to me, and instead, I'll consider it immersion therapy. Mike mentioned it anyway because I didn't see much of it this time, though there were cheerful threats of doom lobbed about, which I didn't mind. His mom is amazing, I'd like to point out. Even if she moms so hard, it makes me weep. So background info, I have a common-sounding name spelled really uncommonly, think Danielle or Jessica. In addition to everything else, my parents decided to be creative when they named me. So, although I liked my name, that meant I was that kid who never saw their name personalized on anything. On the other hand, Mike's family had 1 million kids, and they all got traditional names, so personalized stuff was huge for them. It kept them from fighting over stuff. One of the things in their house, because they have a pool, is that each of the kids' adults now has their own personalized beach towel that lives at the house. So we get to their place, and it's been a hot drive there. So right after we get in, Mike suggests I go to his room to get changed into a swimsuit so we can dip in the pool. That sounds perfect, right? Some of you may already know where this is going. I get to his room, and there is a towel on the bed. It's my favorite color, with my effing stupid ass spelled name embroidered into it. So here I am crying over a goddamn towel, and he's in the doorway watching and grinning like he just pranked me or some crap. It turns out it was her idea, but she checked with Mike to ensure it was spelled correctly. So now I have a towel for when we visit because, apparently, I'm welcome. If I sound cranky, I'm better at self-depreciation than directly expressing emotions. I am blown away and touched by how much these people have welcomed me. Mike has already learned to decode how I talk and excellent jokes. However, the first time, he gently said, "That's not humor, that's just putting yourself down, babe." I definitely wanted to hide under the table. He doesn't let me be mean to me. That's a thing good partners do. I wouldn't know. Again, yes, I am in therapy and working on myself. It's not his responsibility to put me back together, it's just something he does naturally. I told him one night that I was sorry I was broken, and he snorted and said, "At least you can walk," in the most disgusted voice ever, making me laugh. I digress. So the food was once again fantastic, and I kept my promise to teach his mom how to make my cinnamon bun bread pudding, so I felt like I contributed. Insert Ralph Wiggum's "I'm helping" meme. I learned to play Yahtzee, and I am very good at it. They do many board games at night when everyone stays for the week. These people have a lot of board games. And puzzles. Whole damn storage closet of the things. They also drink like effing fish and can hold it, so I am learning to pace myself. Mike doesn't drink much when we aren't there, so I'm not worried it's a red flag. The only red flag I found was a Red Sox pennant in his room. I realize I might be talking him up a lot, but he could be better, Ford. He snores. He has a habit of arguing with people on the TV when they make stupid decisions. He sometimes starts talking about things I don't understand, and goes until he realizes he lost me like 15 minutes ago. And he is fastidiously tidy, which makes me feel guilty because I have bad habits to lose. I'm not used to clutter, means I can't move through an area, but I'm really trying. I barely spend time at my place anymore, and we're looking to move in together sooner. Yeah. So, this is not much of an update. No one burned themselves on a fireworks display or did anything super exciting. I'm in an ongoing relationship with a great guy with a great family, and things continue to look up for us. We head home tonight, so we can spend some alone time on Sunday. I hope everyone else had a safe and happy holiday. Edit, my extraordinarily unhealthy but delicious cinnamon bun bread pudding recipe. So you take 2 pop tubes of Pillsbury cinnamon buns and bake them per the instructions, but reserve the icing. Then turn off the oven and leave them in there for another 10 minutes. You want them a little overbaked. Cool, then chop them up into pretty big rough pieces. Use a 13x9 pan with high sides, put 1-2 stick of melted butter, and coat the bottom and sides. Preheat the oven to 400. Whisk 8 eggs with 1/4 cup of half and half or heavy cream. Put the cinnamon bun chunks in the pan, and then pour over the egg cream mixture. Get in there with your hands to spread it out and make sure the egg and cream are mostly or totally absorbed. You can add another egg if it looks too dry. Eggs are sometimes the same size. Bake for 20 minutes uncovered until firm. Then add the icing from the tubes all over the top and let it cool a bit until the icing is super runny. It can be served hot as is or brought somewhere and reheated in an oven for a bit. But if you reheat it, cover it so the icing doesn't dry out. Times and temperatures are subject to your oven and the size of your eggs. Hey, that's what she said? Seriously, I am incapable of being normal.